Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 154 of the Seezus Show. We're back. It's officially NBA free agency. We also have NBA Summer League coming up and a lot of blockbuster films. You know how July is, so excited to start and kick it off with something hot. You know what I'm saying? And just to rehash with last episode 153, it was Carl Conyers and myself, and we basically talked about the finals preview. I believe Carl's had OKC in five, and I had OKC in six, but OKC ended up, wrapping things up in seven. And obviously, with the New York Knicks, they fired Tibbs, and looks like they're still on the search right now. So we'll see what happens with that. But before we get into today's hottest topics, ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for my boy, for my co-host, Carl Conyers.
What's good, everybody?
How you doing, man?
I'm all right, man. It's about to be the holiday weekend. They just said I could work from home tomorrow, so
Woo!
I'm lit.
Okay. What you got planned? What you got planned for July 4th, man?
Um, I think we're just gonna cook.
Like a
And
little cookout?
yeah, nothing too crazy. Trying to enjoy the day, honestly.
Yeah.
Maybe find something else, like go see this new Jurassic World movie this weekend.
Yeah, I have no plans as of yet. I thought July 4th was going to be on a Saturday. I didn't realize it was on a Friday, but
Mhm.
still excited. We'll see what this holds. I forgot what I did last. I don't know what I did last year. I think I was at like Soho House with like some of my cousins or something like that. I can't remember, but probably gonna watch that F1 movie. You probably already saw it, didn't you?
No, I want to see it. That's
Okay. Yeah, I'll probably see that. And then like you said, especially with this month in general, looking forward to some blockbuster films. So like you said, Jurassic World, Superman, and then, we got Fantastic Four, which I'm even more stoked about as well, too. I know I shitted on the previous ones, but I
Oh,
rewatched those. They were still shitty. The actors are really good. It was kind of before its time as well, too. But I'm like, if it's okay now, it's gonna be much better. And I've been like in a freaking rabbit hole, like looking at different theories, some projected set post scene credits and all that. So I'm very stoked for this, man.
yeah, no, I mean that I forgot that that was coming out at the end of the month. I am definitely really excited about that. I don't even honestly want to speculate because I never know what the hell they about to do.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But obviously, you know what I'm saying? We mix sports with pop culture, but I felt like free agency and the draft was just so overwhelming that we should just kind of focus on that. So you ready to start things off?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I just want to give brief flowers to the Oklahoma City Thunder. They ended up winning the series 4 games to 3, and it was really a battle between two young, hungry teams. Nobody expected to be there at the start of the season. Keyword, start of the season. And that was the youngest finals matchup in modern history, passing of the torch moment. You know what I'm saying? I'm so used to seeing the Bronze, the KDs, the Kawhis, and Stephs of the world and whatnot, but the future is finally here. And then I want to give my flowers to Tyrese Halliburton. Who knows what that outcome would have been like? The game plan, the flow of the game would have been different, but I don't know what the outcome would have been like. But I can definitely say he definitely had a 25 plus point outing that was loading up as well too. But want to give flowers to the Finals MVP SGA, averaged 30.6 assists, 5 rebounds, and had one hell of a year, being the scoring champion, being an NBA All-Star, being on first team All NBA, being the Western Conference Finals MVP, and finished it with the Finals MVP and brought the first ever championship for OKC since the franchise moved from Seattle. And we also got breaking news as well too. He just signed the Supermax, which is going to
Dang.
be insane. And Warren sent me some stuff, and I think I took a screenshot of it. So
It's like
basically,
285 million.
yeah, so he's gonna make 285 million, and he's gonna be making 212.1K per day. 71.25 per year, 5.95, 5.94 per month, 1.48 per week, 868K per game, 212K per day, 8.84K per hour, $147.26 per minute, and
That's
$2.45
insane.
seconds per second.
That's insane.
Obviously, much deserved, but what are your thoughts on SGA getting to the bag, and what does it say about OKC moving forward?
I mean, honestly, I just think this is kind of like a no-brainer. He just won MVP, Finals MVP. The season that he just had is like the quintessential season that anybody would want to have in the league. So, I just think it means they're locked up. This is actually, I think, his second extension that he signed with them. So, just continues the trend of, them locking up their talent when they can. It'll be interesting to see in the coming years when like Chet and J Dub are both up for extensions. But right now, this was, a no-brainer and just keeps them poised to be back next year. And I mean, I think this was an extension, so I think he was already still under contract for next year. I think this doesn't kick in until the year after that, but
That's
uh,
perfect.
keeps them on track.
Yeah, no, it keeps him on track. He's looks like he's going to be there for life. For life, he's going to be a for lifer there. Obviously, he was in the Clippers the first year, but as far as that, I don't really see him moving to any other location. He seems happy there, and this is a win for a small market team as well too. And like you said, they gotta figure out the contract situations with Jalen Williams and Chet. So we'll see if you can get their extension. Do it ASAP. Don't wait like they did with Jalen Brunson and these other players, and then their worth is much more, and then you can't retain them or have to do a sign and trade or something like that. So they lock those three up, they're going to be good. But like I said, a major W for OKC moving forward as well too.
And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, Chet actually probably is about to be up for an extension either this offseason or during the regular season because he missed his first
He
year
missed his
and
first year.
just, yeah, so he's just finished year three technically. And the rookie
Damn,
contracts are only 4 years, so he probably is going to be getting that soon too.
damn. Did he get drafted before he got drafted before J-Dub?
That I don't
So
remember.
yeah, maybe you were. So damn.
I just know he just finished year three.
Yeah.
I think
Damn.
J-Dub just finished year four.
Okay.
So I think they're
Damn.
a year apart. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe they got drafted the same year, but like you said, Chet technically wasn't a rookie since he missed that entire year or something like that.
No, I think J-Dub got drafted the year before him.
Oh, okay. Damn. Shout out to J Dub. Shout out to J Dub, man. Yeah. They're gonna have some decisions to make, but I'm sure Sam Presti learned from the past. So they're gonna have a better future.
Oh, nope. Real quick. I was wrong. They were the same year.
So same year. Okay. So I guess J Dub was like a late first round pick or something.
12th. Yep.
Oh, lottery pick 12th, and then Chet was number
Two.
one or two. Two.
Two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn, that's crazy. Who was number one that year?
Your boy, Paolo, who people would be trying to disrespect.
Yeah, I like Duke, but I'm not like too crazy with Duke like that nowadays. Like I have it, I have the team to follow, and then once it gets to March Madness, but shout out to Paulo. Shout out to
We get to the
Paulo.
Magic. Yeah.
So we'll focus on the Western Conference as far as free agency goes. And honestly, before we kind of get into this itself, I want to focus on, that other original unicorn. I'm talking about Easy Money Sniper. I'm talking about the Slim Reaper. I'm talking about Kevin Durant. And in the trade about a week or so ago, Houston received Kevin Durant and they shipped over Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, the 10th pick as well too. So now he's going to be joining pieces that are already there in Fred VanVleet, and Thompson, Jamar Smith Jr., Sengun, with those vital pieces as well too. So with KD, man, I don't really need to go over his accolades like that. One of the best scorers of all time. He's literally, if you had to describe him, he's a luxury to have, but he's a plug and play type of player as well too. So if he's already in a good environment, you plug him in there, the upside is going to look great as well too. Obviously, a couple years ago, he had that Achilles tendon injury, and since then, I mean, since he's came back, it looks like 35 games, 55 games, 47, 39. And then he had 8 games. And then, well, he got traded. So total, he played almost eight, I think 80 games one year. No, 8 games. No, 46 games, 75 games, and 62. So it looks like he hasn't been the most healthy, but hopefully with all these pieces around him, he's going to do well. But solely just focusing on KD, Carl. What are your thoughts for him being on now? We have OKC, we have Golden State, we have Brooklyn, we have Phoenix, his fifth team now. And what are your expectations for him moving forward
That is crazy to think that he's been on that many teams.
with his talent?
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, those are the things of like why people be disrespecting him. But I mean, I think this is a great look. I think this is a really great look. Like you only lost Dylan Brooks and Jalen Green. So Jalen Green, I mean, that's a wash. Like you couldn't count on him to do anything in when it came to the postseason. And Dylan Brooks, you're gonna miss a little bit, but they signed DFS and like they have the forwards and the wings with Tari Eason and Whitmore and stuff like that, so they'll be fine. But I mean, you take a team that finished this with the second best record in the best conference, and you give them the thing that they didn't have. And granted, we only got to see them in one round of the playoffs. But the thing that stood out the most, and even in that round, they took the Warriors to 7 games.
Hmm.
What stood out is the fact that they couldn't score. Their
Yeah.
defense was insane. Their defense was ridiculous. Like if they weren't playing a generational player, which is Steph, then I think they probably easily would have won that series. But
Hmm.
yeah, you add in somebody who you know there's only been one playoffs, I want to say, where KD wasn't that great of a scorer, and that was that when they played the Celtics
Memphis.
and got
Oh,
swept.
Celtics. Oh, yeah,
But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
outside of that, like I pretty much feel like as long as he's healthy, I can count on him to give me 25 to 30 in the playoffs. And that's what
Hmm.
they're counting on him for. Like he's definitely going to miss some games in the regular season, but as long as he's ready come the end of the season, I think this is I mean this and we'll get into a lot of the other moves they made, but
Hmm.
I didn't really feel like before this move, I didn't really feel like anybody was on par with OKC. Now I absolutely feel like they're on par with OKC. So,
Definitely on par with OKC. One of the rare to have a 50, 40, 90 multiple times as well, too. So it's going to be interesting. And he finally has, it looks like he has some stability. And he has a great coach. He has a rapport with Ime Udoka actually in Brooklyn as well, too, and was an advocate to hire him once he, had that little situation in Boston as well, too. So I'm excited to see how things pan out for him. And it seems like he shouldn't necessarily have too much of a workload because of the depth that they had. And we'll get into that in a little bit as well, too. So I can see him probably sitting out back to backs, depending on how he feels. I feel like they're gonna try to have him sit out back to backs. But other than that, I can see him hopefully being relatively pretty healthy and have nothing nagging and play about 60, 65 games. And that kind of makes me think, they're a two seed. Let's say they happen to increase their wins from what they had like 50 wins to let's say like almost 60. He
mhm.
may be considered in contention for MVP. That would be kind of crazy, but this
Not
is a great move for
crazy.
him. Obviously you have to reap what you sow. So his decision post Golden State, trying to link up with Kyrie and how that all kind of panned out. And then Suns transfer ownership and all this other stuff, having redundancy with Bradley Beal and Devin Booker just never panned out. So now he's somewhere that's good and he gonna rock out. So I'm very excited for the Western Conference. And like you said, they're up there with OKC. Obviously, we got to see all this on paper come in hand, but it's gonna be it's gonna be crazy. The Western Conference is always so OD. East got to catch up, man.
And that's, I mean, going into like our next topic, you look at, okay, they added KD, then they also added Clint Capella, then they re-signed Steven Adams, then they added Dorian Finney-Smith. Um, so like their center lineup, especially, center I feel like has become a weaker position outside of like the top couple in the past couple of years.
Hmm.
So having three guys who you can competently play at center, um, I mean, I think Capella could still be a starter on a decent team. Maybe not
Yeah.
Steven Adams, but you have starter-ish level guys as your backups, and then just all the wings that they have. And I mean, yeah, their offseason moves have really put them in it. Honestly, it feels like what OKC did last year when OKC added Caruso and Hartenstein. Now they didn't add KD, but they kind of already had that in Shea. So I think, yeah, this just kind of reminds me of that type of offseason, and I'm expecting a crazy year from them.
Yeah, and I'm just also wondering, like, how much cap space y'all had to sign all these dudes, dog? I kept
Man,
getting
I'm trying to figure it
notifications from
out.
all y'all. That's like, yo, what the hell? Like you said, Dorian Finney-Smith, 4 year, 53 mil. Fred VanVleet, 2 year, 50 mil. Clint Capella, 3 year, 21 mil. And then the mid-level exception for Jeff Green, Aaron Holiday, Tate, and then you said Steven Adams too. So it's kind of cool to see like I guess you can say in this new era, as far as like having two bigs on the floor, I'm thinking of like the Lakers from the bubble, and then we kind of went away from that. Joker ended up winning, and then we kind of brought that back with Minnesota, and then we saw that a little bit more this year with OKC. So it seems like teams are going back. We don't have traditional bigs anymore, but teams are going back to a two-man lineup, or at least having an option to have a two-man lineup depending on who they play. And then obviously, with analytics, it's threes, it's close shots and free throws, and now we're kind of seeing, let seeing players rocking on the mid range as well too. So I'm looking forward to that. I'll give them an A plus, honestly. Like you said, they have their guards, they have their forwards, they have their two-way players in defense, and they have their centers as well too. Only thing I am kind of concerned about, I mean, obviously they took Golden State 7 games, and if Jalen Green was just regular season Jalen Green, it's a different story. But I know Sengun can score. He had a somewhat up and down at some point in the series, but like, who do you see being that other guy that you need when it's all said and done to take it to the promised land, or is it going to kind of be like that Indiana Pacers type of situation where it's by committee? Because Amin Thompson, obviously he hasn't figured out his jump shot yet. I'm assuming obviously he's working on it, but who do you see on that depth chart that you're like, all right, like if KD, I mean KD's gonna have it going, but when he's getting doubled and someone else has to create, who you see that you think Jabari Smith Jr. is going to be that one taking that leap?
Not Jabari Parker, man, that's a sad story. But no, I don't think that Jabari Smith is going to be. He could be. He looked decent in limited minutes. But I think the fact that he got demoted, I don't think that he's going to find all of a sudden a bunch more minutes now that they brought in KD and they're kind
Hmm.
of both that four spot. Um, yeah, so I mean, I think Şengün is definitely going to be the guy that they're looking to next. I mean, he averaged 21, I think, in that series, and he was their only
Hmm.
consistent player. So I think to me, he's stamped. He had a great regular season the past 2 years, and he showed up when they needed him to in the playoffs. It is always interesting though, like looking at his center stats versus the Warriors, because the Warriors don't have
Small ass
big.
team.
So yeah, centers always go off against them. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see him against another team. But yeah, I think he's gonna be number two. And then you kind of, I mean, Thompson was really a demon. Like he still averaged like 15 a game, I think, with no jump shot, just getting downhill. And I don't think he's all of a sudden gonna be an amazing jump shooter next year, but I think he'll be passable.
Hmm.
So he's probably next. And if they decide to give Cam Whitmore any burn, he's a bucket every time. Fred Van
Yeah.
can actually score too. So I mean, they have, yeah, I think they're gonna be fine, and they're gonna have a little bit of a committee thing, but I think it's gonna be probably like the top three is gonna be KD, Şengün, and then Thompson.
Hmm. And as far as starting five, what do you kind of say? I think right now I have Fred VanVleet and Thompson in the backcourt, and then front court Sengun, Jabari, and then probably KD. Who do you got?
That's my only thing is I don't know if I have uh Thompson starting at the two, but who was their two guard last year? I guess Dylan Brooks technically.
So they have who they have? Fred VanVleet, Jalen Green.
Oh, Jalen Green, that was their two. Duh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, I don't know how I feel about Amon Thompson starting at the two. I don't think that's super smart.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I feel like they have enough shooting, with Fred VanVleet, KD, and Jabari, if that is the route they want to go, because Amin can just be that slasher. But um, we'll kind of see how that goes, because obviously, with this trade happening, they're looking like they're gonna eventually give the keys to him along with Sengun. But I'm not mad if he comes off the bench, but I feel like for defense, I think they're gonna start him.
no, I mean, he's gonna start. I would say Thompson. I mean, not Thompson. Jabari Smith is the one who would go to the bench.
Mm.
That's
So
because
you think
that's what
another?
they
So
did to him last year. They brought
you
him
think
off the
another
bench.
vet? Because he started last year, and then I don't know if he hurt his hand or wrist or something
No,
like
they
that,
just
and
started
wouldn't
bringing him
play.
off the. I mean, he did get some injuries, but that wasn't why. They just started bringing him off the bench because
Mm.
they wanted to get Thompson in the starting lineup.
Yeah, but I'm also thinking too, like they just gave him that nice little rookie deal. I mean, he already got the rookie deal, so he can't be mad if he do come off the bench, but it just makes me believe he will. But I mean, they got the whole preseason training camp, regular season to figure out what they want to do as well too. So,
And that rookie
um,
extension isn't that crazy, actually. It's like 5 years, 122 million, which
mhm,
is a little bit over like 20 something million a year. Like it's not as crazy as it sounds, especially when you look at what role players and stuff like that. Like that's basically Jakob Poeltl just got like a 5 year, $100 million deal, you know?
ridiculous,
So
ridiculous.
that doesn't mean that they're gonna, it's one of those things where you have to just keep the asset right now because it's not fully appreciated yet.
Hmm.
And that's just kind of like what the cost of doing business is.
Yeah,
But
nah, that's some real shit. That's some real shit. So you definitely think Houston gonna be obviously the number two. You definitely think they're gonna be a top three seed in the West again?
yeah, I would, if they're not a top three seed, then it is a referendum on Kevin Durant. If
Mm,
you just swapped, I know Dylan Brooks was in there too, but if you just swapped out Jalen Green from KD and now all of a sudden your team is worse, that is going to be that is going to be honestly the final straw for a lot of people in Kevin Durant's legacy.
yeah, no, I can see that for sure. Absolutely. And to stay in the Western Conference, outside of Rockets, I really enjoyed these offseason moves, especially with some updates today. But the Denver Nuggets, I may have to give them a as well too. They ended up trading Michael Porter Jr., an unprotected 2032 first round pick to the Brooklyn Nets for Cam Johnson. They also signed Tim Hardaway Jr. to a 1 year deal. And then they also had a trade for Jonas Valanciunas for Dario Saric as well too. So they've always complained about Joker, like when he's off the floor, how the team just flows and their overall plus minus and how, teams go on a run. So with Jonas Valanciunas playing limited minutes in games where he has to rest, he still has that traditional big feel where he can play with his back to the basket. And the last couple of years, he has, been bold enough to expand his game and shoots relatively pretty well from the corner three as well too. So it's another threat on the floor. Obviously, with Bruce Brown, so excited to come back. The Swiss Army knife. They should have never let him go, but it had to be done. So now he's back. Hope he still got some left in the tank. And then obviously, Michael Porter Jr. was obviously had a shoulder injury, but kind of a shell of himself. Obviously, we kind of knew the writing was on the wall as well too. And I've been campaigning for Cam Johnson for a while for the Denver Nuggets, so to see it actually come into fruition was pretty dope as well too. So you still get a sniper from three, and you get a much better defender. And outside of his shooting, he can at least give you some straight line drives and finish at the rim as well too. So Nuggets definitely got a W. Only thing I really want from them is probably another base guard. But like I was telling you, Warren, the other day, I was like, I still see a little bit potential in Strother. We'll see where his development goes and what the new coach decides his and defines his role and whatnot as well too. But I really like what I saw from the Denver Nuggets offseason so far. What about you?
No, I mean, I love it. I especially considering they haven't done anything to help Jokic since they won the title. Literally, I mean, to me, they almost did like the Mavs model of right after Dirk won that ship, they just didn't retain any of those people. And actually, it's the same thing. I think they ended up bringing Tyson Chandler back like 2 or 3 years later and tried to bring some of the people back a couple years later, but like it wasn't the same. So, hoping
Mhm.
this isn't that. But yeah, this is the best offseason I can remember for them in a while. I think the Cam Johnson thing is great because he's probably a little bit of a better defender, and I feel like he's going to be more consistent, especially hopefully when the playoffs come around. Michael Porter Jr. just kind of feels like he gets scared sometimes in the big moments. Uh,
Yeah, overpaid too.
yeah, yeah, and that really is the biggest issue is that they had to honestly what we just talked about with Jabari Smith in terms of the cost of doing business. Like when they had him, he was a young asset, so you're gonna keep him around. And at the time, that's what the market dictated. So he was getting like wasn't like almost 40 million a year or something like that. It was
Hmm.
really crazy. So now like yeah, you trade him for a player that is very comparable, but making like half the amount of money. And so then that allows you to then go in and add your Bruce Brown and add your Jonas Valanciunas. So no, I like it. They have a backup big who's not, Valanciunas isn't amazing, but he's also not 100-year-old DeAndre Jordan. Like they literally were putting DeAndre Jordan out there is like in real minutes to back up Jokic. So
Yeah.
that in itself is a huge boost. And then you're basically swapping Bruce Brown for Westbrook. So that's the one where I'm like, I mean, we'll see. I think that Westbrook was fine. I think
Yeah.
Bruce Brown looks well. There's a reason that Bruce Brown was able to sign such a small contract because he hasn't played that well
Yeah.
recently. So we'll hope that he can, get back to that. But I think for them, it's also going to be about like the development of Strother. That's going to be huge if he can play.
Yeah.
And,
Absolutely.
Peyton Watson, if he can like,
I don't know, bro. You can you maybe I can see into the crystal ball. I don't know, man. He gave me like Cam Reddish vibes. I feel like he's gonna be that type of player, but I could be wrong. I don't like to rule out any nigga with potential and whatnot, but right now how it's going, I'm just not sure. But if he can trend in upwards, I'm just like, all right, cool. But we'll see.
yeah, yeah, we'll see for sure. But I think this gives them, it feels like they have depth again. Not crazy depth, not like
Yeah,
the depth we just saw in the finals, but enough that it doesn't just feel like, all right, when one of your five goes out, like it's just over. That's how it's felt
cooked.
the past two,
Yeah,
3 years for them.
yeah.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, they still forced the game. Obviously, they got a little smack, but they still forced the game seven. Aaron Gordon had that hammy injury, and like you said, now they have depth. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be interesting to see if they make any more moves. I'm not really sure how much wiggle room they have, but it's a good sign. I still see them being a top four seed, and depending on how the matchups are, they can find themselves in the Western Conference Finals when you have the best player, and then even the NBA Finals. So really happy, really satisfied with their offseason moves, man. Moving on from there, the Clippers offseason moves. Obviously, they had a 50-win season. Kawhi finally stayed healthy. We'll see how that pans out next season as well, too. But James Harden re-upped. Brooke Lopez, which was one of the biggest signings with them. He signed with the Clippers as well too. So it looks like, oh, and Nicholas Batum also signed with them as well too. So it looks like with them, they are pretty satisfied having James Harden running back as well too. I mean, I think he kind of earned that money. Obviously, he kind of had that fizzle out in the playoffs, but as far as the entire body of work, he was an All-Star and All NBA selection, I believe, third team, and really was that floor general as well too. Brooke Lopez, I mean, Zubac plays about 30 minutes a game as well too, and obviously, when Ben Simmons got that buyout, they ended up trying to utilizing Ben Simmons at the five, and he really wasn't that effective, especially when he didn't want to be aggressive to the rim. I probably saw him attack the basket like maybe two, three times in the entire series. So
Yeah.
to have Zubac come out and put Brooke Lopez in, who adds another element which Zubac doesn't, where he can spread the floor. I think that's going to work well for them as well too. But they still don't really necessarily solve that other score that they kind of need. Norman Powell can only do but so much. We know what James Harden rap is in the playoffs when it matters the most. And Kawhi, the biggest question for him from now until he retires is, can he stay fit? Can he stay healthy? So decent offseason moves, but they don't really move the needle because they have Ty Lue, they have their culture, that they have their identity. I still see them being in the playoff hunt, but nothing to me that's kind of crazy. I think it's a first round exit. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, they didn't do anything to me at all. They just re-signed everybody and then added Brooke Lopez, which is cool.
Right.
Yeah, like there's
So
nothing special about that team. I don't think that James Harden is going to be better than he was last year.
yeah.
And I think you're ecstatic that you got a healthy Kawhi for most of last year, but is that going to happen again this year? Um,
Because he only played like 30 games. He came back, what, like after Christmas or something like that?
yeah, yeah, he did. So, and Norman Powell, I think he kind of got fucked over because they were trying to, he was their number one option, and then Kawhi came back and he went down to like the number three option. So I think that kind of messed up his whole
That's
thing
true.
going on. So we'll see, with how it works, but uh, I would I would be flabbergasted if I seen them even in the conference finals, to be honest with you. I just don't think the team has they're just not anything special to me at all.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. So it's gonna be interesting to see how things pan out. And like I said, health is what's gonna be on their side. So I'll give them a C minus. Moving on from there, Dallas free agency. The biggest thing was Kyrie re-up with that 3 year, 119 mil, and D'Lo 2 year, 11 mil as well too. So I like the move for D'Lo, just because you have that chemistry with Anthony Davis as well too. You have that floor general too. Um,
Chemistry.
I mean, yeah, they played together what 2 or 3
No,
seasons
they played
previously.
together, but I don't know if they were clicking together. It's like they had a great two-man or something like that.
Hmm. Yeah. So I mean, familiarity there as well too. We'll see what Jason Kidd gets out of D'Lo, but it's more so a security blanket until Kyrie Irving kind of nurses his ACL injury as well too. But on paper, I mean, with that addition, also getting Cooper Flag, we'll talk about that way later. Um, if they're healthy, they should be a team that at least you know embodies fear with their playoff matchups because they have it seems like they have, everything kind of figured out with their depth, but I really think it kind of depends on Kyrie's health. And then also Cooper Flag's emergence as well, too. So it's kind of a blessing in disguise that Kyrie's out for a bit so Cooper Flag can progress at even a faster rate as well too. Hopefully AD can stay healthy. We'll see what happens with that. But with the Kyrie, there were some people that I kind of spoke with, and they were a little upset with the amount of money that he got for the contract. And I'm just like, bro, like obviously he would have got a little bit more, but he tore his ACL. So they're basically giving him the Klay Thompson treatment or the Kevin Durant treatment when they know he's going to sit out either majority of the year or the whole year and come back. And then by the end of his second year, that's when he's going to have that player option. And he can just re up as well too. So with them, I give him probably another C as well too. So we'll see how that. We'll see what happens with that team. What are your thoughts on Dallas?
People were mad about his contract, that he should have gotten
Yeah,
more money.
should have got more money because they were seeing other people's contracts and shit. I'm like, bro, like he
Like
got
who?
injured. Just people in the X space, and I have some stands that I be talking to that be capping for him on TikTok.
I was gonna say, I mean, he got basically James Harden's deal, which is like 40 million a year, but he got the third year, 40 million. Uh,
Mhm,
so no, I think his deal was great, especially because, like you said, they're paying him to rehab. That first year, he's not gonna play. Uh,
mhm.
so yeah, I don't think that was. And Kyrie is 34.
34, I think. Yeah.
34 coming off a torn ACL. I don't know who was about to give him a whole bunch of money. Uh, I mean, I like a decent team. Of course, a bad team might do it, but um, yeah, I mean, I kind of disagree. I don't think that they're gonna have strike fear in anybody because I'm trying to think who else is a guard on that team outside of D'Angelo Russell.
I think they still got what's his name?
Den shitty?
You said I said.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, their guard rotation was garbage last year once they traded Luca,
Mm,
and now they have no Kyrie, and they just added D'Angelo Russell, who's garbage himself. Um,
mm,
Especially in the playoffs, he's literally always been garbage. So I don't think that they strike fear in anybody because of that. Especially, it just feels like it's a gap year. You're going to be playing a rookie a very large amount of minutes, and AD, you hoping that he's healthy, but I think they're going to be happy to just get through the next year as a, 7, 8 seed, maybe six, but probably 7, 8 seed, and hope that they're, can make it out of the play-in. But
yeah.
yeah, I don't think anything crazy about this team this year. I think that next year, you have Cooper Flag in year two, you have Kyrie back. If, still AD and the double bigs and stuff like that, that starts to look a little bit better. But
Mhm.
yeah, and hopefully they add another guard. Because I think
Yeah.
they have Jaden Hardy maybe still, but
I think him, and then I think they're probably banking on Christie getting a little bit better from the Lakers too.
but he's not really at least from what I saw, he wasn't really a ball handler.
Mm, yeah.
So
Kind of by committee. Um, so yeah, we'll see. So D'Lo, you away from the bright lights. Just give us 15 and 5 and I'll be satisfied. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, because it's looking like a gap year as well too. We don't even know if Kyrie gonna come back. And honestly, if I'm Kyrie, um, I wouldn't even come back. I would just wait until the next season. Like, because if you're in the playoff hunt and you come back, you gotta ease into it, and that's just too much wear and tear. And
Yeah.
man, and I'm good off that. So you got your bread, rehab, come back the next season better than ever, and then we'll see what you guys do. Especially like I said, if Cooper Flag is supposed to be what he's supposed to be, so we'll see what happens with that as well too. Gotta give a 1 minute shout out to my San Antonio Spurs. We signed Luke Cornett
Y'all hear this?
to Luke Cornett, guys. Luke Cornett. Um, you know what's funny? When I was messaging you guys in the group chat, I think I was just like half asleep. I thought they said Luke Kennard. And I
Mm.
was just like, bro, why the hell we signing Luke Kennard when we already have like Julian Champagne for like spacing the floor? Like we do not need him.
Y'all
And
have
then
a
I actually
million
like
guards right
saw it
now.
and I was like, oh, Luke Cornett, this is cool. Because I think Chet, I mean, Wemby and Chet are kind of similar, where I think even though Wemby's fucking tall as shit, I think he plays out of position. I think he would be more effective at the four. Obviously, they're going to start him at the five, and they're probably just going to have moments when they tinker with the line and moments when they have him at the four and Cornette at the five as well, too. But it's just nice to have someone that's going to be a part of that rotation that has championship level experience as well too. So looking forward to seeing how he pans out. He's he's kind of a Spurs signee when you think about the past Spurs centers from back in the day, from Fabricio Roberto to I think what was his name? Fabricio Roberto. I forgot his name. I can't remember his name, but basically like someone who just protects the room, sets good screens, can
Like
somewhat be a
Thiago
lob threat.
Splitter.
Tiago Splitter for Berto, and there was another dude too. I can't remember his name, but a Spurs as player and for the low. So we'll see how that goes. So I just wanted to give shout out to that as well too. Moving on from there, man. They used to call him, or he was self-proclaimed, dominating. DeAndre Ayton still hasn't signed yet, but obviously he got bought out by the Portland Trail Blazers as well too. So he's going to be turning 27 next month. He has $35.6 million left on his contract that was set to expire, but got bought out. And obviously he was a former number one pick as well too. Last season he had 14 points, 10 rebounds, and pretty much has been a double double since he's been in the league as well too. And somewhat decent or above average compared to the non-superstar all-star level bigs that having a good back to the basket game, can hit that little pick and pop from the mid range, and is a decent lob threat as well too. So um, looks like he got tired of losing. Obviously, he had a fallout with Phoenix Suns as well too. Looks like number one in the race would be the Los Angeles Lakers. But where do you kind of see him going? And do you think he's going to make somewhat of an impact on whoever he decides to go to?
First, I don't know if I mean, hopefully he got tired of losing, but from everything I've seen, it had nothing to do with him. It was the fact of, or at least how he felt. It was the fact that they already had drafted a center in the lottery last year in Klingon, and then they drafted another center in the lottery this year. So there just wasn't any room for him. Um, and he was going to be taking up developmental minutes, and it was probably going to be, he's the type of player to definitely be annoying and complain if you just had him sitting on the sidelines because he knows he can average a double double. So that's more so why they got rid of him.
Yeah.
um, but I mean, I don't know, man. Of course, I think that everyone's saying most people are thinking he's going to go to the Lakers, which makes sense because they don't have a center at all. But he, to me, feels like every other center the Lakers have gotten since LeBron has got there, basically, where like it was whether it was Andre Drummond or Jackson Hayes or who was it they just signed last year. Everybody was happy about it, the buyout market. Alex Lynn,
Oh my
um,
God.
anybody like they're not that good with them because they're probably not that good in the first place, which is why they're usually on the open market. Um, he'll be okay. The biggest thing with him is can he stay engaged? And he wasn't engaged on a team that was going to the finals. So I don't know. why all of a sudden being on the Lakers would make him engaged. You would hope so, but
Yeah.
I mean, he's talented. He has the talent. It's all there, but he just like there's so many plays of him just like standing out of bounds and watching somebody go up for a bunch of rebounds and stuff like that. So I don't know if he's really a huge game changer, difference maker, especially when we get back to like playoff time. Yeah, I think the most logical situation is probably the Lakers. I'm not sure who else, what other contender is in need of a big like him, and I don't
Hmm.
wants to go to that earlier point. I don't think that he would now choose to go to another losing situation.
Yeah. The only other thing, oh yeah, the only other team I could think of, like, if they were still, if he was still healthy with Jason Tatum, I'll probably, and knowing they lost the Porzingis, probably the Celtics. And obviously you already have Mitchell Robinson there, Knicks, but yeah, Lakers just seems like the most feasible move for him as well too. Obviously, this dude be messing with some OnlyFans joints and IG people, women and stuff too. So who knows if Los Angeles is actually a good environment for him? But we'll see how that
True.
pans out. But if he can just do better than what Jackson Hayes did, I mean, there were moments, flashes that we saw with Jackson Hayes and Luca connection. So it's only going to be better from there. And the Lakers are, like you said, are in dire need of a center, and they
I
just
think
lost
Jackson
Dorian
Hayes is more
Finney-Smith.
athletic though.
I mean, yeah, he's springy for sure. He's springy for sure, but I mean, outside the athleticism, I'll probably take Aiden in every other category as well too. So, I mean, I think that's a decent rotation right there with those two bigs. But losing Dorian Finney-Smith, man, that kind of hurt them a little bit. So, and the Lakers just sold their team for $10 billion. So we'll see what that new owner is about. And then moving on from that, LeBron James picked up his $52.6 million option. And they said he's going to be monitoring the Lakers' moves. But I think ever since he went to the Lakers and, got AD and, you know, got the championship with them as well too. He kind of has his hands off with off-season moves as well too. They signed someone that I don't even know and I don't even care. But there have been rumblings,
Jake
probably just
LaRavia.
clickbait, right? Probably just clickbait. With potential teams he may be interested in if things kind of fall apart. Because it looks like the Lakers are kind of where they're at outside of if they only get DeAndre Ayton. So, do you see LeBron James obviously opting in? Do you see him staying in Los Angeles Lakers and retiring there?
Um, I think more than likely he retires there. I think that, us as fans, we want LeBron to be competing for championships every year, but I honestly don't think he cares anymore. And not like in a way he doesn't care about winning. I definitely think he wants to try and win, but I think his legacy is already his legacy, you know?
Yeah.
And at this point, especially now with Luka on the team, he wouldn't even probably be the best player on the championship team if they won another one. So, um,
And that's 52 mil too. Like, I'm not gutting my
yeah, I'm
roster for
not.
that. I'm good off that.
I think, there's no point in him turning down the 52 mil. As they were saying, there's a lot of reports that a lot of teams wouldn't want to trade for him either, which I understand because you just don't know what he's going to do, if he's going to retire, or, what he's going to do. And for a 1 year rental, it doesn't make sense to give up a bunch of assets.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, no, I think that the Lakers are gonna, they're standing pat. LeBron is probably gonna stay there, finish his career there, unless he somehow ended up in Cleveland.
I was about to say that. I was like, what if you
That's the
get
only other
you
place I
get
could see.
Darius Garland and you get Jarrett Allen with future draft picks for LeBron, and then you end up still getting DeAndre Ayton over there? That'd be crazy.
Yeah, I don't know if they got the money to make that happen, but I think that that's really the issue I think that all these GMs are going through is like that just kind of feels like malpractice to trade away Jared Allen and Darius Garland for a year of 41 or 42-year-old LeBron.
Hmm.
Um, and
I'd much rather build and kind of keep tinkering around the core, like you said, as opposed to having a 1 year rental, especially if it's a 1 year rental who, like you said, is towards the end of his career. It just doesn't make sense.
yeah, like the Rockets made sense because Jalen Green was very disappointing. And then you have to
Very.
throw in Dylan Brooks. But like a lot of these other teams, they feel like their younger assets are on the upswing or at least have established themselves, which Darius Garland has been an all-star twice now, I think. Um, so that would just kind of be tough, I think, for the fan base if you don't win that next year and now all of a sudden you're back in the wilderness, especially in Cleveland where they without LeBron, this is the first time they've ever really been good without LeBron since he got
So
drafted.
weird to see. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah. No, I agree. And they got a new owner. Apparently he likes to spend, but he also a businessman too. And LeBron James. I mean, with or without LeBron James, you still gonna sell out, but it's LeBron James. That's a whole nother level, with merch and all this other stuff as well too. So, like
mhm.
you said, that man ain't going anywhere, in my opinion. He's already did everything he has to do. A lot consider him the GOAT. He's 40 years old. And then obviously you saw that video that went viral with him, his voice saying, Savannah wants me to fucking retire. So
Yeah.
it looked like he about to be on that Tom Brady type time. I wouldn't be surprised by like between now and training camp, he comes out with a short little video saying this is my last year 23, but we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that I mean just I know that's not exactly what you're saying, but I don't think he has to worry about like him and Savannah getting a divorce if he decides to stay or something. I think that
Nah, she loyal. Queen,
yeah.
queen loyal.
And because they've been together since he was in high school. Like when
Or
Tom
yeah.
Brady got with Giselle, she was already a supermodel. So,
Or then dated Leonardo DiCaprio. You know how that go.
yeah.
So moving on from there, Eastern Conference, man. Before we get into some transactions, one of the things I kind of want to talk about first and foremost was that boy Dame time, Dame Dollar. My mouth kind of dropped to the floor pause when I got this notification, but the Bucks ended up waiving and stretching Lillard's remaining contract, which he was still expected to be owed 113 million across 5 years. So basically, in doing that, they're going to reduce the immediate cap hit to roughly 22.5 per season. This was the largest wave and stretch in the NBA history. And they used the cap space to sign Miles Turner to a 4 year, $107 million deal. And why it matters, they said Giannis is reportedly unhappy with how the roster was. So I guess they wanted to do something to kind of keep him happy, if that even kind of keeps him happy as well, too. So the decision appears to be part of the Bucks' effort, like I said, to reinforce the roster around Giannis and stay competitive in the Eastern Conference. And obviously, with Damian Lillard being old as he is, and the track record with torn Achilles, it may not be good for him, moving forward as well too. But what's next for Milwaukee? They're saying is they've added rim protection and spacing with Turner, but they are accumulating dead cap for years to come. Like I said, that 20 plus million a year. So how this affects future moves and Giannis long term is still a question. But now with Damian Lillard, he can fully rehab as well too. He's gonna get paid kind of like Luol Deng we saw from years ago with the Lakers as well too, and he can actually sign a mid level exception to be on a competitive based team. But what are your thoughts hearing this news? With Damian Lillard getting released or waived rather, and do you think he'll be able to bounce back or give us a little something?
I don't think he's going to sign no mid-level exception. I think whatever he signs is going to be a bigger contract for sure.
Damn, so you
Uh,
think he gonna get the bag from them and then another big bag? That's damn. Okay.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think he's going to get like 2 years, 80 million, but he might get more in the line of like 2 years, 60 or 50 something. Like I just don't think he's going to take any exception because he was still like, you mentioned Luol Deng, but Luol Deng was never Damian Lillard.
Hmm.
So when before he was playing, he was still playing at an all-star, all NBA-ish level.
That's
Um,
true. Yep, you're right.
I don't know though if he's gonna. That's the interesting part is if any team is gonna sign him for this upcoming season because it feels like he's going to be
Nah.
out the whole year. So he might
Yeah.
just kind of go unsigned until next summer. Of course, he's still going to be making money because they waived him. So I think that I don't know, man. I think they just need to trade Giannis. This team is ass. This team that
Mm.
they just put together is like literally terrible. Like you have Kevin Porter Jr., Gary Trent, him as in Giannis, Miles Turner, and
Jericho Sims resign,
Bobby
right?
Portis, Jericho's like there's nobody else on this team who is good to great at all.
And and wasn't that you that said they're cooked with their future first round picks too, right?
Yeah, they traded most of them to get like Dame, basically. They traded a lot of them, I'm pretty sure, to get Drew, and then also traded a lot of them to get Dame. So yeah, I mean the team was mediocre last year. I think they're on pace to be mediocre again. I know we were talking earlier, like I'll give you, because you have Giannis, you'll probably be like 500, but this th that team last year, I think was probably better, and they still started really bad. I think you remember they were like 2-8 or something like that. Like they had a
Oh
really bad start to the
yeah.
year. Yeah, so there's nothing that makes me think that this team, it just looks terrible. It's really just a terrible team on paper. So, maybe they could surprise somebody and do something, but I think you're at a point because you have no more assets because you traded all these people to put people around Giannis that at this point, the only way to really move forward is to trade him and recoup all those assets. I mean, you look
Mm,
at the Thunder, they it's the trades for the trades that they did to get rid of James Harden, to get rid of Westbrook and KD that allowed them to build this team. And at least the Thunder never won with that team. They made it to the finals, but they never won. At least you won with Giannis in Milwaukee, and you can say that. But at this point, unless he's cool just chilling there on some mediocre teams, which he might be, that he already did win a championship. He has two MVPs, so like maybe he's cool just chilling. But that team isn't going to do anything, and I think that it's whatever waving Dame, I guess, because he wasn't going to play. But now you're putting yourself in an even worse position for the future in terms of like they're literally going to have to hope that they just get, you know, like a Malik Beasley who we signed him for 6 million last year, and I know but he had a great year. Like they're gonna have to hope that they just sign somebody for a little money and they way outperform that. But even that means it's going to be like a 1 year deal more than likely. So, yeah,
yeah.
I think that. I don't know what the management is doing over there, to be honest with you. But we will see.
I mean, I'm thinking right now too, because I mean, I always thought about Katie going over there too, but once it obviously became unrealistic with Giannis going to a Texas team, I was just like, yeah, he's probably just going to stay put. But what would you see even a viable option for him to go? Because I think he's owed 50 on average in the next 3 years, 58 million a year. So
Mhm.
obviously you're gonna have to gut that mother freaking roster. But like, where's the option you think he could actually go?
I mean, he could go anywhere, really. Of course, I think Houston would have been a good fit. I like him on the Warriors.
Oh, I didn't even
Um,
think about Danford. Fuck it, Jimmy. Bye.
yeah, I mean, completely, honestly. Um, that I think would be really good. I mean, we were talking about the Clippers. Like that would be if you just had those three, like I don't care what the rest of the roster is, I would have faith in it. Um, so honestly, I can see him in a lot of different places as long as it's just about like you have to have somebody else next to him. You have to because that's just the league. Like, and the somebody can even be, like, because Jokic won with Jamal Murray, who's not really an all-star, but he's all-star level. But like,
Hmm.
there's still not even anyone on this team that's that level. Like,
Yeah.
and so it doesn't really happen with you winning like that. Like the last person, I would say Dirk won. But even Tyson Chandler was like a defensive player of the year type player?
Hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah. That's gonna be interesting. I'll tell you what. Well, Miles Turner is like damn near 7 feet, 7 feet average, like 5, 6 rebounds. Giannis probably about to average 16 of them this year.
Miles Turner was awful in the playoff. I mean in the finals.
In the
He was
finals,
awful
yeah, in the
in the playoffs,
finals.
but in the
So
finals, yeah.
we'll see. And something funny I saw, they were like, yo, the last time Miles Turner wasn't on the Pacers, this is what the NBA looked like. You still had Kobe and Tim Duncan in the league. You had Melo on the Knicks. You had young Dame and LaMarcus Aldridge, a part of the Blazers.
Damn.
D Rose was with Jimmy in Chicago. Chris Bosh was still in the Miami Heat. And then you had KG when his farewell stuff with the Wolves and Lob City with the Clippers. Like he's been there for a while. So I know Tyrese Halliburton punching air right now. He's like, damn, I'm gonna be gone for a year. Y'all get rid of him already. Like, so we're gonna see
Yeah.
what happens with the Pacers as well too. And then my last question to wrap this team up with. him with Damian Lillard, a superstar caliber player, obviously, was kind of an anomaly because he was injured, getting waived. Do you see any future teams going this route when they want to have a little bit more flexibility and waiving a player who makes a good amount of money for the cap space?
I mean, it's always a possibility. I think there's a
Hmm.
reason that people haven't done it though, because it just kind of destroys a lot of your future opportunity. Um, but I think that most teams would probably try and find any other way out of it. Um, but that's also again like a interesting situation because he's injured, and they know he's going to be out the entire next year, and they're trying to still have some type of contender around the team or yeah,
Hmm.
around Giannis. So,
Ah,
it'd be an option, but I don't think, I mean, they said the last time that the last biggest contract like this was in like 2000 or something. So, it's not something that happens all the time. I think it'll
yeah.
be in it.
Okay. Hot take for you. I want to turn it over to you. Last year, this past season, your Detroit Pistons made the playoffs and were 44 and 38. And maybe if the ball bounced different a couple different ways, we'd be talking about them going to the second round as well, too. You guys look like you're not going to get Malik Beasley, which we'll talk about right after this. You guys got Karis LeVert, 2-year, 28 mil. Paul Reed, 2-year, 10. Duncan Robinson, sign and trade, 3-year, 48 mil. And lost, obviously, Dennis Schroeder as well, too. You're a Detroit guy. Anything you have to say about this?
I think that the offseason has definitely been a little disappointing. Um, Aiton, honestly, is someone that I even would look at for Detroit. I think we were talking about Miles
Ooh,
Turner at some point as well before he ended up going to the Bucks. I think they're, kind of trying to upgrade or at least supplement
from
the center
Durant.
position.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I really think it would have been so much better if we got Nickeil Alexander-Walker instead of Karis LeVert because they're basically on like the exact same contract, just a little bit. LeVert is 2 years and NAW is 4.
You're right.
But that's the one like that really hurts. Outside of that, though, I could care less about Tim Hardaway Jr. being gone. Um, I'm happy for Denver. I think he's a pretty decent ad for them just to have like somebody who can shoot. But we had to he was our starter. I don't think he's going to start. He's probably going to play like 15, 20 minutes for the Nuggets. For us, we had to actually rely on him, and teams relying on him doesn't usually work out that well. In the playoffs, he shot, I want to say 32% from the field and like 30 or less than 30 from three. So yeah, I'm completely fine with him being gone, 100%.
Mm, yeah.
And then Malik Beasley is on some shit. So that's kind of just tough, but it doesn't look like anybody's about to sign him right now until things are at least a little bit more clear. But we got Duncan Robinson, so I'm not super mad. We have, a shooter. We're also getting back Jaden Ivey, who missed the
Just
vast
about to
majority of the
say
year.
that Javen I coming
Yeah.
back tough, tough. I did not know he had a clip like that from three. So I'm excited to see him come back. So that's basically a free agent addition as well too. So to have them kind of leave, bring in the players that we talked about, they see a lot from Jaden Ivey, and with the highlights that I saw the other day, him and Cade played pretty damn good. Sharing the ball in that backcourt. So I'm excited to see what he does next year and the next leap that Cade Cunningham takes next season too.
Yeah, no, I think they're going to be probably if I want to say they're going to be, if we won 44 games, I want to say they'll be a 50-win team.
I can see that, especially with the East a little banged up right now with
Yeah.
Tyrese Halliburton, Achilles, and the Bucks is ass now. And then what's the other team? Celtics are cooked. So yeah, we'll see. Staying on the Pistons, but focusing on Malik Beasley. Federal authorities are investigating Detroit Pistons guard Malik Beasley on allegations of gambling related to NBA games and prop bets. And the allegations are from 2023 to 2024 season when Beasley played for the Milwaukee Bucks, so he wasn't on the Detroit Pistons. And that year Beasley averaged 11.3 points in 79 games. But it looks like there was it says right here, at least one prominent U.S. sportsbook detecting unusually heavy betting interest on Beasley's statistics beginning around January 2024. A gambling industry source told ESPN David Birdham as well too. So It wasn't originally focused on Beasley. It started as a part of a larger federal probe into illegal sports betting rings, including some organized crime elements and offshore betting accounts. And during that probe, investigators stumbled upon suspicious betting patterns on NBA prop bets, and they saw a red flag. Ding, ding, ding. Beasley's name popped up as well too, and he could be facing some serious long-term ramifications for that. Obviously, the bag, one first and foremost, and then, potentially either a slap on the wrist or a ban from the NBA as well, too. I mean, we saw what happened with Michael Porter Jr.'s, brother as well, too. But former Detroit Piston was supposed to get a good check this year. I was really excited for him. You were high on him. But what are your thoughts on that, man? I'm gonna toss it to you.
I mean, it's crazy. I think that the league, and not just the league, the United States of America made this whole sports betting thing legal again a couple years ago, and we've just seen more and more instances of this. Um, it is going to be interesting to see how this continues to unfold because it really felt like, we had these issues in what like the 60s or something like that with baseball, and I think even earlier with baseball, and then it just felt like for a while we didn't have this, especially because they clamped down on it. But now that it's like the Wild Wild West again, and especially I was reading an article today that just talked about Malik Beasley having a lot of financial problems. Like he owes a dentist money where they're garnishing his wages, his apartment that he was living in, they're garnishing his wages.
I didn't even hear about that. Damn.
Yeah, there was another
And
he
then I think
signed
with
on.
his agent he signed with, they gave him they gave him cash up front, and they thought they were going to get that money on the back end from this new deal.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It was like a marketing agency or something like that for his
Yeah.
image. And yeah, they gave him money, but then he fired them. So like they want the money back. So there's like a lot of people that he owes money that have a lot of people who have taken him to court and have sued him successfully for money. So honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he was gambling to try and make more money. But it also honestly just all goes to like, bro, I think they said he's made over like or close to like 50 or $60 million in his NBA career, you shouldn't be in this situation. You
Keep your
shouldn't.
lifestyle moderate, man. God damn.
Yeah, like you just shouldn't be in this situation. You're clearly either you don't have a money manager or you're not listening to your money manager. But there's just no reason that you need to be doing all this. And there's like another thing too where there's like a loan company where they let you take out, money early on your contracts and he owes them money too. So it's crazy. We will see. Maybe if anything, this brings his price back down and somehow we can still sign him.
That'll be fire.
But if he doesn't go to jail, but it's crazy because he already went to jail. I don't know if you remember when he was on the Wolves, he had to serve a jail sentence and he couldn't go to away games for a little bit as well because he was on house arrest.
I forgot about that, dog.
Yeah, so bro been in trouble, honestly, for a while. So
He's just
I'm
a
glad
hot
that we
boy,
got a year
dog.
out of him.
Damn, my nigga luck ran out finally. But
Yeah.
hopefully he good. If not, self-inflicted. That's on him. I can't be mad at a nigga who did shit like that, and I can't be mad at a nigga who is rich at the end of the day. So that's on you. That's on you, Playboy. Knicks, we talked about the Knicks, trying to bolster their roster, their depth outside their starting five as well too. They got Yabusele, the Frenchman, who played great last year in the Olympics and had a decent season with the 76ers. Basically be a four and the five, and then they got Jordan Clarkson from the Knicks as well too. Obviously, they're still looking for a coach. I don't have any word yet. I think Mike Brown's still number one in the driver's seat, but we'll see. But any thoughts on the Knicks? Does this kind of, move the needle for them at all?
I mean, I think getting Clarkson is good. Just I guess to have another scorer, but it'll just depend on their coach, which obviously it won't be Tibbs. So hopefully he actually trusts his bench. But I mean, I like Yabusele played really good for Philadelphia last year after hooping on us in the Olympics. And yeah, Clarkson at least is, a microwave scorer. So they look fine, decent. I mean, they almost made it to the finals this year, right?
Facts.
Conference
Yeah.
finals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So. And the East is going to be wide open. So
Wide
it's
open.
not like just they didn't lose anyone. So you should hopefully that you'll be returning at least to the same level you had last year, and then you add one or two players. Um, So no, I think they'll be good. I think they'll be
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Another team I'm happy about is the Atlanta Hawks. I mean, obviously, Trey Young kind of been his whole career a play in slash lower seed as well too. And like you said, and the guy you wanted, they obtained Nikhil Alexander-Walker, 4 years, $62 million. They traded for Christoph Porzingis as well too, so they bolstered their center position, and then they got the sharpshooter and Luke Kennard as well too. And obviously they have Dyson Daniels, Jalen Johnson, and like I said, Trey Young is the engine of that team as well too. With the East being wide open, how do you see these pieces pan out? And what are your expectations for the Atlanta Hawks this upcoming season?
I mean, I think that they have the potential to be a top three seed with
Damn.
the way
Okay.
things are shaking out. I really do. I mean, again,
Damn, I'll be fired. That's good for the league.
yeah, I think the East is kind of devoid right now of some of its talent. So I think, that's going to just leave things up for anybody, but it's crazy. We say Trey Young has spent most of his career in like the play-in and that lower seed, except for the one year they made the conference finals. So it's like they have that potential. I like Jalen Johnson missed most of last year with an injury, but he was playing at an all-star level. They have Okongwu, who's going to be completely starting now. The Clint Capella is gone. They kind of had to deal with that timeshare for a little bit. Dyson Daniels averaged 3 steals a game, which is like the first time someone's done that since like the 90s or 80s. Um, and Trey Young is an amazing passer and a pretty good scorer. So uh, I like the team. I like the team a lot. I think especially you're adding in Alexander Walker, Kennard as another shooter. And then even if you just get, because I think Porzingis played like 40, 50 games last year, even if you get that out of him, the biggest thing is, whatever sickness he had, is he going to be over that? And is his injury going to line up with the playoffs? Because the last 2 years with the Celtics, he came into the playoffs kind of dealing with those injuries. So that's kind of the thing. But I think if you get, we even saw, I think, in that first year that the Celtics won the championship with him, even just getting him on the court for 20 minutes a game was a game changer. So if they can just
Yeah.
get something like that out of him, I think that puts them in like a really good situation. And just having that size as well to deal with some of these other teams like the Knicks.
Yeah. And then just when you thought that trades weren't going to get even more outlandish, I just had to remind people with the Orlando offseason moves. Obviously, last week they traded for Bane and then they picked up Tyus Jones on that 1 year, $7 million deal. But Memphis traded Desmond Bane to the Orlando Magic in a significant deal, and they acquired Bane in exchange for KCP, Cole Anthony, and 4 unprotected first round draft picks. What are your thoughts on that whole situation? Obviously, we always have this back and forth between you, Terrence, and I with what's the worth and the potential with draft picks as well too. But do you think this is a W for the Magic? And obviously, like you said earlier, the Eastern Conference is wide open. So do you think Orlando? They start off hot, then they had both obliques from both of their two stars throughout the season. But do you think they take a leap?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, with the East being wide open, I like them a lot. Um, they were a good team before both of their guys missed I think Franz missed like 20 something games. Paolo missed like 30 to 40 some games. So, hopefully if both of them can play just like 70 games next year and you get the same from Desmond Bane. And then also Jalen Suggs missed half the year as well. I think he had to have
Facts.
surgery. So if they can just be a healthy team, I absolutely like their chances. Their defense is going to be great as it has been, but adding in now another certified bucket and shooter next to your two scorers, I think changes things a lot for them. Because honestly, they look kind of just like how the Rockets looked in the playoffs of just like we need, and granted, they at least had somebody to score, but it was like we need somebody else outside of like these guys.
Hmm.
So I think that that'll be a game changer for them. And I actually like the trade for the Grizzlies as well because everybody's dealing with this new CBA and it's hard to have 3 stars on big contracts. And that's what they were about to have considering we saw they just re-signed Triple J. So
And he hurt, bruh. Already. He got turf toe.
Yeah.
That's
Hopefully
just
though, that's
crazy.
that's something I think it's early in the offseason, so he'll probably be fine by the time the regular season starts. But I think that adding in, like by getting rid of that salary, the Grizzlies signed like four guys or something like that in these first 2 days of free agency. So they're not like, giving up. I think that was just like having to make a smart business decision. And then also you netted four unprotected first round picks.
Yeah, that's fire. That's fire for them. So we'll see. And then to wrap it up before we get into the draft, Lonzo to the Cavs. Obviously Lonzo's 27 and he was one of those guys who honestly I thought with how his career was going to go if he didn't get injured, I would kind of compare him a lot to like a Tyrese Halliburton type of guy who really doesn't hold on to the ball, has great vision, continue to work on his 3-point shot. And every year it looked like he was taking steps to add to his bag. But this past season averaged 7.6 points, 3.4 rebounds, 3.3 assists. And he got added to the Cleveland Cavaliers. And he's on a really friendly deal, I think 2 years, $20 million. So we'll see how he pans out because I think Darius Garland got that toe surgery. They said he should be projected to be back from training camp, but it wouldn't be surprised if he missed the first couple, games, string of games to start off the regular season as well too. But high risk, I feel like high risk, high reward for the Cleveland Cavaliers. One of the things that I'm never going to be a fan of is a super small backcourt. So if he can give you at least 15, 20 minutes, that will help them tremendously a lot, especially with his defensive prowess. But he was the first and only player to get cartilage transplant in his left knee. So the knee wasn't, it seemed like it wasn't the problem. It didn't seem like he had any swelling or anything like that once he came back. It was more so when he messed up his wrist and, missed the rest of the season as well, too. But just want to give love to Lonzo and hopefully he can have a decent career as a 6 to 8 man at this point in his career as well too. I'm kind of scared. I don't want him to kind of be like Brandon Roy. Remember when Brandon Roy retired and came back, I think to play for the Timberwolves and he played like what 10, 15 games and he was cooked. But like I said, high risk, high reward, 2 year, 20 mil. So if he get hurt, it's like, oh well, whatever. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that for the Cavs, I think it's actually a low risk move because Isaac Okoro sucked for them at least. He didn't really do anything well and he was undersized for a three. He's like 6'5" or something like that. And he was playing his playing time just kept going down and down as they continued to get better. And correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, no, the
Especially
Cavs
when they got
also
Hunter.
had DeAndre Hunter now as well. So they don't really need him. And I think that, they knew they were going to lose Ty Jerome. So Lonzo replacing him is pretty good. It's just the what you said of like, is he going to play? Because
Yeah.
luckily the injury wasn't his knee that kept him out this year, but it was still another injury. So he just hasn't really been able to stay healthy. And I don't trust him being on the court. If he is on the court, I think he's an asset for sure. But
Yeah.
I think you lost it. You got something that you can be hopeful about for a guy that was kind of falling out of your rotation and was going to be up for an extension at some point soon too.
Mm.
And
No, that's
Lonzo is only 10 million a year, which is amazing.
yeah, that's crazy. Obviously the East wide open so early. We got to see a lot of things, but who you see coming out the East right now?
I don't know, bro. I feel like there's still some things that are going to shake.
Yeah,
Um, but like as it stands right now, I I don't know. Actually, I guess I like the Knicks
I
or
was about to say that. I was like, probably Knicks at this point. So
yeah, but we'll
yeah, we'll
see.
see. We'll see. And then last segment of the day, the NBA draft, the lottery, man. This is a pretty decent draft, I would have to say. I was pretty impressed. I was pretty satisfied as well, too. Um, Cooper Flag obviously went number one. Dylan Harper number two to the Spurs. VJ to the Philadelphia 76ers. You got White Boy Khan. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. To the Hornets. Ace Bailey dropped to number five to Utah. Trey Johnson, Washington. Jeremiah Fears to the Pelicans at 7. 8, we had Igor Demon for the Brooklyn Nets. 9 for the Toronto Raptors. Colin Boyles came in. Mulak from to the Suns. Cedric Coward to Memphis Grizzlies via Portland, Noah to Chicago, Derek Queen, who I wanted on the Spurs, to the Atlanta Hawks, Carter Bryant at 14 to the Spurs, which I'm satisfied about, and then Thomas Sorber at number 15 to OKC. What were your thoughts on the draft in the first round? Are you happy about any destinations or anything like that? Does this draft class look promising, you think, when we look, down the line 3 to 5 years from now?
I definitely think this draft class looks promising. But I'll be real. I feel like when your team's not in the draft, it's kind of like I don't, not that I don't care, but I don't even want to hear about it because it's like, well, we're
Facts.
not getting any of this young talent, to be real. And it
Hmm.
really pisses me off because they fucked us over, us as in the Detroit Pistons. They fucked us over 2 years in a row when we had awful records and they gave us the number 5 pick. And granted, we got Jaden Ivey with one of those, so I'm happy about. But then we had to get Ron Holland, who we'll see what he turns into, but I don't really like him that much. When this year now Ace Bailey goes 5. Like, could you imagine? Yeah, so that just kind of has me upset. I would love to have had Ace Bailey on my team. I think that's insane that he dropped like that. But overall, I mean, I think that all the decisions made sense for the most part. I will say it'll be interesting to see what the Spurs do with all these guards because you have now Fox, Castle, Harper, and
And
Vassell.
Vassell.
Um, I think that for sure at least one of them has to go, but I think honestly maybe one of those top three. I think you might keep Vassell because he's just a scorer and his value is lower than those guys, but I just think that it's going to be hard for Castle and Harper to develop alongside Fox.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that works. But in the end of the day, those are like good problems to have. Hopefully, probably just play like a season with all of them, see who did the best, and then get some value for somebody for another position that y'all need, like the
Mm.
3 or the 4 or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, but overall, I think that I don't like the Igor guy going to the Nets. Um, it'll be interesting to see, but I've just seen a lot of weak tape from him, and a lot of people weren't really happy about that pick. Uh, but overall, yeah, nothing super crazy except for the Mavs getting the number 1 pick, but whatever.
Yeah, Mavs getting the number one pick was crazy, but shout out to Cooper Flag, clearly the most coveted, rookie to be drafted as well too. Still mind-boggling how Dallas got the number one pick, but we know it's a business at the end of the day as well too. So really going to be excited. Like I said, I think they're going to obviously Dallas is from what their GM says, they're in a win now situation. So obviously the number one option if healthy is going to be Anthony Davis, but I think outside of Anthony Davis, they're really going to let that boy rock out too. So I'm excited to see, his elite two-way wing size, his athleticism. They say he has great defensive instincts and can slide those puppies, can score at all 3 levels. So I'm excited how that pans out. Obviously, my San Antonio Spurs got Dylan Harper. So super, super, super stoked about that. And I don't mean to, bring up wounds from you, but they did say that, his game kind of he tries to model his game. He really looks up to his favorite player is Cade Cunningham. And I definitely see that. 6'5", 6'6", big combo guard who can run the offense, high level playmaker with a strong handle, lefty, and just has a good feel for the game at this age. I'm a little upset that he has some growing injuries, so he's not going to be able to play in Vegas. And I was kind of planning on going to Vegas just to see him play, but I'll just wait till he comes over to LA as well too. And I kind of agree with you as well, man. Like you got the number 2 pick, so obviously like you're all in with them as well too. But I guess for the now, it's not too bad to have a lot of depth, especially with how the league's going as well too, from 6th to the 12th man on the team. So it's going to be a work in progress. I think with the new coach, they're definitely going to, tinker a lot of different players to see, especially with that backcourt, who can kind of play. I think Vassell's going to be the guy to go first. And then depending on how Dylan Harper emerges, I wouldn't be surprised. And like whenever Fox gets that re-up relatively pretty soon, I can see him being the one to get shipped, even though he wants to be here as well too. But I like Dylan Harper with that pick. And like I said, if we had one more, I wanted a big. I know we got Luke Cornett. I really wanted to get Derek Queen. So I know he's in New Orleans right now. Skilled big guy with strong footwork. He has great hands for his age and size, and I love his scoring ability. I think he kind of reminds me of a Sengun, or at least like a between a Sengun and like a Bam Adebayo type of player. And I think that will kind of work well with Zion if Zion, can stay on the floor as well too. With them at the 4 and 5. I don't really know about his defense, but he has the tools to be a great defensive player. And I don't know what the Pelicans have done with their medical team too, because it seemed like everybody on that squad always get hurt. So I'm a little nervous about that as well too. Carter Bryant, just seeing his highlights from college and seeing these past interviews as well too. Another thing that I kind of wanted was that three that could play the four, two-way base player. Although he didn't get a lot of touches, he was a force on the defensive end. Very long, very athletic. Like I said, has a two-way upside, active defender, aggressive when he can attack the basket with line drives. And he looks like he's going to be a pretty damn good shooter as well too. So he was saying today, the best who like everybody's so caught up with scoring, but it's the little things that can get you on the floor, especially, honing in on your craft from the defensive end as well, too. But I think he's going to be a work in progress just because we have so much players that we're going to have to play. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the G League for most of the year. And then if we have an injury to knock on wood, Sohan or something like that, then he will probably play some spot minutes. But I think when it's all said and done, just listen to his mentality. I mean, it's one thing to say something, one thing to do something. I think he's gonna end up being a well-rounded player. Another guy that I'm excited about is Jeremiah Fierce too for the Pelicans. Very shifty scoring guard with high-level shot creation. Looks like he can play on and off the ball. He looks like he plays really well in the pick and roll, which that's something that Zion should be happy to play with, especially with DeJounte Murray out. And he just brings that competitive defense at that point of attack as well too, and picks up full court. So I like that. He kind of compare. If I compared him, he kind of reminds me of like a right-handed, taller version of IT that was on Boston. So hopefully that pick pans out. And then another thing is probably Ace Bailey. He's one of my favorite players from the draft. I'm not gonna lie. For him to drop at 5, everybody's kind of trying to compare him in a sense to what's homie's name that got drafted to the Cleveland Browns, Shador Sanders.
Mhm.
Still a lottery pick, still top 5. Your bread gonna look pretty much the same since you there. Long athletic wing, serious scoring upside. People were making jokes about they were making jokes about his agent looking like the variant of Rich Paul.
Mhm.
Um, but it's one of those cases where it's just like, bro, like I already know you got your NIL money, and obviously you came from nothing and have that, so you think that's a lot. But this is NBA money is on a different level. And honestly, he was trying to, get to the Wizards or the Brooklyn Nets as well too. But I think this is the best scenario for him where he's in Utah with not much to do there, and he's gonna automatically be, the guy there with Laurie. So this is gonna be good for him long term. And who cares where you get drafted? It's a blessing. It's a dream. You're in a small percentile of people who actually get to go to the NBA. So go ahead, work on your game, rack up these points, rack up these awards, get that rookie extension. And after that, you can do what you want to do because at the end of the day, you're making millions, you're playing basketball. And let's not forget, and you're only really home 3, 4 times a week. And in the off season, you can be wherever the fuck you want to be at. So I hope he embraces it because I like him a lot. And then to end it off, VJ, another guy that I liked as well too, kind of gives me D Wade, Ant Man, prime Victor Oladipo type comp, explosive, probably one of the most explosive shooting guards in this draft. Serious athleticism, very dynamic in transition to me, strong all ball defender, and low key he has a nice shooting form and he can shoot that thing. So um, given Paul George being old as dirt now, and we don't know what to expect next season, and Joel Embiid up in the air, I kind of like these young boys learning and rocking out as well too. But aside from that, any outside the lottery pick, late first round or second round, any players that stood out to you, or anything at all?
Mm, I guess he was right outside of the lottery 16 is that Yang Hansen guy.
Mm.
Um, it'll be interesting to see what happens with him. I've been hearing a lot of hype around him and a lot of talk about his selection because people didn't think he was going to go until a lot later. So I am interested to see how he will perform, especially honestly, just being, I think they said this is the first Asian player taken in the lottery since Yi Jianlian, which was in like 2007 or something like that.
And
So
he went to the Rockets too, right? Or something like that.
I think he went to the Wizards.
Oh, was it? Oh, that guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Damn.
That was Yao who was at the Rockets.
Won't there another dude that went to the Rockets too, though? Or maybe I'm just thinking of that guy you're talking about, and low key my fault to the community
Yeah.
over there.
But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But that's really it for me.
Yeah, mine's probably since Charlotte. I mean, they re-signed Mason Plumlee. I kind of like that one dude from Creighton. I think it's Ryan K something, but 7 foot rim protector. He's probably gonna get some reps in this year. Has good shooting touch, I think, and he's a pretty good passer as well too, especially in the high post. So we'll see what happens with that. And then probably maybe that for Rashir Fleming, who's going to Phoenix. Pretty long, athletic, 6'9" 4", and I think he has like a 7'5", 7'6" wingspan or something like that. And he can shoot the rock. So it looks like with Devin Booker, he look like he's gonna be there for lifer. It's good that they got these picks, and hopefully they can compete in the next couple of years. But that's about it, man. That's about it. Any closing words for the episode?
Everybody enjoy the holiday. Be safe. Don't blow off any limbs with any fireworks. And I guess emphasis on the I guess. I guess happy birthday, America.
Retweet. Ladies and gentlemen, that was episode 154 of the Caesar Show. Make sure to subscribe on all forms of social media at the Caesar Show, at Carl Conyers, at Terrence Whaley _. We out.